no, it's not even about time. It's more about how.
Please start dishing assignment and.
No, that's why I did today. We are
let them build one small this thing.
So
one
guys,
small dashboard
today,
will get
I really
buttons and
wanted
all
us
those things.
to do something that is different. And Dami, you want to say something? Just go ahead before I continue.
Listen, how do we set up an account? You know, we're talking about it the other day.
Yes. So the accounting is now that place. I have a suggestion that we can use. But the problem I have with that account setting of a thing is the one I currently set up that I'm using, it's been long I set it up. I have two accounts rather. There's a developer account that I set up years ago. So I've not really set up a developer account recently, but I set up a recent account, but that one is not a developer account. I'm being charged around $10 or so. It's not expensive. The only problem is that if you're doing it from Canada here, you don't have a problem. But if you're doing it from Nigeria, maybe they might reject your card, as Nigerian card issues they be. That's the only thing there. So I spoke with someone about trying to set up her own. I'm not sure how. I didn't follow up. We are supposed to discuss this last weekend, but we didn't do that. But if you're interested in maybe the one that you think you can pay, then we can do that. That one you think I'm talking about, you can actually have a month free trial. After that, they now start billing you. Now this one now you have full access. You understand the Power Automate, Power Platform, and the rest of the thing. But the developer account, I am not sure. So for me to be sure and tell you details about it, I need to try and see if it will work. I've not had a try. We can actually, give it a try to know. But because there's a time I had that they were shutting down account because of space. Some people just set up the developer account and they were not using it. So it's like servers that are set up. So don't need to just host people that are not using some of their resources. So since that time, I've really have not had anything about it. Right. So what I can promise to do now is to maybe ask questions about that. And maybe if we're able to get some valid information, we can now try something. But for now, the one I can guarantee is the one that we can pay, I think, a little over $10. If you're here in Canada, it shouldn't be a problem for you, right? Monthly. So that's about that. All right. So on today's class, I just wanted you guys to I really wish we had a lot more people here because I wanted to talk about something that's very important, something that's very key, because we will definitely need it. So let me share my screen. Let me know when you can see my screen. Can you guys see my screen?
Yes.
Okay. So this is where we stopped last time, but there's something, another step I want to, for us to go further in setting this thing up and how to publish and start using it. I talked about Power Automate during our introductory class, and I wanted to show us that step, because if you do not understand Power Automate and what Power Automate can do, it might be, I know some of us must have this understanding of Power Automate. If you actually read anything on Power Platform, Power Automate usually comes up. So it's Power Automate that is like the functional part of the entire suite. So Power Automate, as the name implies, it automates processes. So we have very few number of different kinds of Power Automate as it appears in formally it's called Flow, right? So we can actually, as this app is, we can use this app is like as it is, as you're looking at it. But the problem with this app is that it does not, it's not still doing its full, it's not doing its full potential. Let me give you an example. For example, this is what's it called? This is supposed to be an onboarding application. So it's not one person that's supposed to fill it. The person that will start this process is the HR person. They have run their job search. They got a couple of people, or they have actually got to somebody and they want to now onboard the person. So the HR opens an account for that person by keying in the person's name. Basically, this is what we did now. It's a HR process. So, but once HR is done, how does HR pass this to the next stage? Who is the next stage? It should be the line manager. The line manager is supposed to make some comment, make some approval or sign off some certain things. It's supposed to go to IT department too, to make sure that the person has all the necessary tools they need to work. It's supposed to also go to maybe other levels within the HR for final approval. You understand? So all those business processes, the question is, how do you move this from setting up the person's account to moving it across? You understand? There might be some points where you might need the person to do this thing yourself. HR might not come in to type this person. You can actually open this as a form and allow the person that's starting the job that day to onboard themselves if you want to do full automation, so HR can rest. But when you're doing full automation, you give the person answer, the person can only write their name and their personal details. So when the person clicks send, what happens? It's supposed to go to another table, right? So how do you now implement that process of moving it from table to table? That's automation. Right, because now it's like it's thinking of it on its own. When it gets to a certain stage, you know what next to do. That's basically automation, right? So how do we get to the automation? It's Power Automate. So let me show you how to automate. So I want you to take the entire day to talk about Power Automate, and by the time we end the class, we're going to go home with like an assignment that we can actually work on, and it's something that we can resolve. So the issue of developer account is something we need to also tackle. So within the week, we can find a solution to that as well. So this is Power Automate. Are you seeing my screen? Hey,
yes.
Guys. Okay.
Yes.
Yeah, I can see your screen.
So this is how Power Automate looks. I prefer showing people things. I can stand here and talk about how sweet and all of that stuff Power Automate is, but showing you, how it applies, and also, doing some tasks while demonstrating how it's kind of embeds it's in your head, and then you can actually, do it yourself and it sticks. So this is what Microsoft is doing now. In all of their tools, they have Copilot attached. This is just basic Copilot. Oh, you want to generate a flow. Basically, you want to build. So any automation you want to do, a single automation is what usually called a flow, because it has several steps. Oh, do this one. When this one happens, do this one. When this one happens, do this one. I'll show you an example of something I'm working currently on so that you understand what I mean. You have that in your mind and we can work. So this is how it basically will look like. Now, this one looks a little bit complex because I use something they call parallel. So parallel is when you want multiple things to run at the same time, right? So there's a reoccurrence. This action is just for you to trigger at a certain scheduled cloud flow. That's what they call this. For you to trigger at a certain time. I will talk about different kinds of flows as well so that you understand. So it's for you to run at a certain time of the day, basically. So when it runs, I have a HTTP request action. This is just for me to call an API. This API, I'm using it to get information regarding what's it called? Rates, exchange rates. So this is past JSON. Or what I will do, let me open the one that's ran so that I can see the output. So I don't intend you to, if you have questions now, but if you have questions, just feel free to ask. If you are confused anywhere, maybe something I'm saying is not clear, so I'll talk about it. So this is basically me calling an open API, right? So when I call that API, it's more like getting all the information from the API. API is just a mechanism for two different systems or multiple systems to talk to each other, to pass information across. So some of them are open and some of them are closed. An API is basically what we call connectors. So when we are setting up our app, we connected it via SharePoint. So that SharePoint connector is basically an API. So in Power Platform, you see it as a connector, but basically it's just API enveloped in a connector so that it can suit the entire platform. So what the API does is just to do what's it called? Facilitate information moving across systems. So here, once you directly input all the necessary requirements for a particular API that you need to call, it responds with all the information that you requested. So what you can see here is all the rates for foreign exchange. And if you look at here very well, let me show you here. The base code is US dollar. So what we are basically comparing is $1 equals to AED, this value, and if you go down, you see Naira as well. So for us to get basically what we want, because a bunch of information will come, we will need to filter it down. And to filter it down, that's when past JSON will come in. So past JSON is also a card in There's a card in Power Automate that helps you pass. Passing is just to, the right word. I don't know the right word that we would easily understand. But passing in English language is just to, separate things.
Can I explain it in my own understanding?
Okay.
So an example of using how to using pass is where you want to write and read from, something like that. Like you're writing into something. Maybe for example, you have an inventory table, right? As stocks come in, it has more data and it reflects on your numbers. As they take out stock, the number reduces and the product also reduces from the inventory table.
Okay.
Something like that.
Okay. So it's just like you're dealing with data, and you need to, for you to be able to access the particular data you want, you need to separate them, and get the particular one you want. So that's basically, so this card in Power Automate, that's what it does. It's JSON. JSON is for you to move data across. It's from when you want to move data from one application to another, it's JSON that you use. So when you get a bunch of response in JSON, which is coming from that API, you need to filter it. So, but the right word here is not filtering, it's pass, because for you to be able to even filter, you need to pass first, because it's okay, the right word I think now might be unbundle, right? So when you unbundle it, you'll not be able to see the one that you are looking for. So after the passing, which one am I looking for? I'm looking for US dollar against Naira, and I'm able to, use what's it called? Call it Power Automate, what's it called again? I'm lacking the word for this now, but I think it's more like the way you have in Excel functions in Power Automate, or Power FX that we have in Power Apps. In Power Automate, you have similar thing, the language that you use to, interrogate and work around Power Automate and all that. So you can use that and be able to, directly filter out the one that you want. In this case, $1 equals to so amount. Now, if you want to see what I did there, let me duplicate this tab and put one in edit mode so that we can see what I did. So I'm sorry that I'm going at this high level, but I want to show you, example of what Power Automate can do. So I'm using Power Automate independent of Power Apps, because in this case, I just don't need Power Apps. I just need information from web, and I need to use it for something else, and that's basically what I'm using it for. And if I put this in edit, and I go to my compose action. So this is basically what I did. So the core of this is basically to convert to get exactly where a dollar matches NGN, which is Naira. And every other thing you see around it is basically formatting. I want it in this kind of formats. And this, what's it called, coalesces for me to do some kind of error handling. If it's not available, just throw out NA. So there's a lot of, manipulation for you to get the right thing. And once you get the right thing, you cannot throw it down. So throwing it down, I'm using this delay here just to delay and wait for all other ones to complete. Sometimes some will be faster than other ones. So you don't want a way where one is faster and then this runs without other guys running. So you delay, and then if you want to do further manipulation, you use it for that manipulation. This is what I used it for, all of the data that I got. And then I'm now send it to an email where I need it to go. That's that one done. Easy. It's not that difficult the way we usually would think it. So when you come to, where was I again? Yes. So when you come to what Power Automate does, I have 5 key ways why we use Power Automate within Power Automate within Power Platform. Now, the type 1 is called automated flow. Basically, you see automated cloud flow. You see instant cloud flow, and you see scheduled cloud flow. Scheduled cloud flow is the one that you saw now because it has a time that it's supposed to trigger. Automated is the one that runs when something is just listening to something. When something happens automatically, it knows that, oh, this is supposed to, it's time for me to run because it's automated. No, you don't need any kind of thing to run. Now, the other one is instant. Instant is button. So Power Automate is also in a mobile app, and you can actually use button on your app to trigger Power Automate, a button on your phone to trigger Power Automate. So we'll have that as well, and it's called instant cloud flow. And then we'll have desktop. So desktop is the one that I think it's the most powerful of Power Automate features. It can do wonders. It's the one that you can download right, on your desktop, and it can mimic what you are doing on your desktop. So where is this kind of thing needed? I think I mentioned it during one of the introductory classes. So desktop cloud flow is needed when you are dealing with a legacy application. So currently where I work, we use it with we have an application that does not have an open what's it, a way to connect to it, no API source, nothing. The company that's developed it, I'm thinking maybe they don't have, they have discontinued that particular application. So, but we are using this system for our POS, and we need to get data from there daily. So how do we do that? And this is where desktop comes in. You just need to click play or record rather, and you do some certain things. And while you're doing those things, it mimics and monitors what you're doing, and you can and turns it automatically to a flow. So what you need to do is just to play it or schedule it to run. You can call it from Cloudflow as well. So let's say, so for example, end of the day, you want to pull out all the record sales we made. You don't need to go and open that legacy application and be doing it manually again. No, you just schedule it to run maybe around 7 p.m., 8 p.m., end of the day as you want, and allow it, and it runs on its own. It's the most efficient, but it has its own what's it called? Side issues as well. And I think ChatGPT was trying to develop something recently that mimics that process as well. We have a lot of options, but in Microsoft, this is the tool that does the same thing, right? So aside this one, we have what we call business process flow. So business process flow is one we definitely will use within what's it called, model-driven app. Because remember when we talk about model-driven app, what makes model-driven app is because of the business process. You want people to follow a certain scheduled way of doing things. So this is the final form of what's it called? The final form of Power Automate. Now, let me just take some time and maybe explain some of the buttons you see here. It's just simple home. If you want to create, you create. Then if you want to create, you're creating from scratch. You don't want to use Copilot. By the way, Copilot, it's very, very efficient as well. If you don't want to stress yourself, just come here, type what you want to do. It will give you a skeleton. And if you say yes, it launches it for you. Then you go on ahead and start creating, right? But if you know what you want to do, you can just come here and start afresh. So let's I don't know which one I want. Okay, let's just check template first. So template is different, the one that people use commonly. So in template, you see a lot of options here. And if you click any one, it launches for you to start with. So for a starter, this is the best one for you to start with. If you have not used Power Automate before, this will help you, right? Because you will at least, be getting how it functions, and then see how things work before you start, creating things out of what's it called, on your own. So you see that you can actually trigger a flow with a Power BI data alert. So if you set alert in Power BI, if you've done Power BI to the point that you saw that there's an alert when a certain threshold is met, so you can set up, you can trigger another flow. So let's give an example now. You are in sales, and you guys want to know when sales has become too low. Maybe the CEO want to know, to be alerted when sales has become too low, for example, or when sales is becoming too high. The sales manager will want to know so that they go restock, or do something else. So if they set a certain threshold, Power BI can set out an alert. But when that alert comes, it's just an alert. You can just go to your email. But that doesn't, it doesn't do any more action. So, but you can further automate that process by connecting it to Power Automate. And within that Power Automate, you can direct it to do something. You can say, okay, message so person, or move automate. If your inventory is automated, you can decide to move some stock from the inventory around, maybe from one other store that is not selling to the one that is just meeting their target. Automatically, you can do that. So this is ways of using Power Automate in different ways. So if you want to learn Power Automate, you can come here. They have so many tools for you to use to learn Power Automate. This is just direct you to, what's it called, Microsoft Learn, and you can be able to learn those. And then here is where you see all your flows. So if I click on this, you're going to see all the flows I created, and this is them. And within these flows, now that says my flows, this is where you'll see your desktop flows. Now you see that it's asking me to either launch app or download app, because desktop flows are supposed to show here, but you are supposed to at least have the desktop app installed. So if you have it under your account name, it will definitely now appear here as an option of, oh, you have desktop flow. So if you now have a flow, sometimes somebody can share a flow with you. Some of these flows that I have now, if you say, oh, you like these flows or you want to use it, I can share it with you if we are within the same environment, right? So if I share with you within the same environment, it will pop out here as a list. You're going to see it pop out here as a list. And then you'll see your connection attached to it as well. And then we'll have approvals. Approvals is, a whole lot of things. It's more like when you do an approval, we are going to do approval because we talked about what's it called again? We talked about approving somebody coming into onboarding into a company. So when the approval is being sent out, it comes to a certain place. Sometimes it comes to your email, it comes to your Teams, and it also comes to your Power Apps. So if you receive a request for approval, this is where you receive it under receive. If you are sending out one, it comes here, and this is the entire receive history. So approvals are very, very big because a lot of things cannot go on in the corporate world without approval from the guys up. You understand? So that's why it's embedded here, so that you can receive it in your Power Automate. It's a message asking you to approve something. Somebody has sent a request. You can also receive it in your Teams, and you can also receive it to, I think, your email as well. Their solution. This is the same solution that we saw before when we were talking about Power Automate and trying to launch into Power Automate. This is it right here. And process mining. This is when you're going deep into Power Automate. So process mining is just a way for Power Automate to help you determine how best to automate your processes. So you have to add, something, give it something, and it looks at your process and determines, where there are bottlenecks and decides, okay, this is where we can actually, this can be automated, that cannot be automated, that kind of a thing. That's what it does. So we have AI Hub. AI Hub is the whole, prompting and all of that. So you have a lot of things going on there, and it's changing. It's changing, what's it called? As time is coming, there's a lot of things added and removed, and you have a lot of AI builder, prompting, and all of those things. If you have a Copilot enabled with all the prompts and all of that, you are going to see it here. So Automation Center, it's the same thing that we're talking about. This one has to do with how Dataverse environment and the analytics that's going on. Now, desktop flow activity. If you have a desktop flow activity, you can see the activity here as well. And then there is more. This basically, I think it's a whole lot of Power Automate things. So let me show you connection. I think that's something you need to know. Now, under connection, anytime you connect to, anytime you want to, let me show you something that will help you understand what I'm trying to talk about. So for these things to run, some of them need you to automatically connect to them. Say, for example, send an email. Send an email. Whose account is it going to use to send that email? It's somebody's account. So you need to connect to it, that person's account to it. That's basically what connection means. So once you are using the Power Automate cards to do a lot of things, you'll be asked to connect. Sometimes you want to pull in, maybe connect to maybe Twitter, Facebook, all of those things. Once you are connecting to that, all those external, what's it called, cards, action cards, you need to connect. So there's a place where you see all your connections. That's basically where we saw that, and look at it. This is all my connections. See, I'm connected to Outlook, connected to Buffer, and connected to Gmail. So here you can easily do whatever you want to do. Disconnect it. Sometimes it has issues. So that's why I need to point out, because if you're working and then you're having connection issues, this is the right place to come to. If you come here, you know, if you see all of them, status is connected. Sometimes if it's not connected, you see it here. So you know where to start working on your problem and how best to, deal with it. So guys, do we have any question before I proceed? I have something I need us to work on. So any question? This is a brief, I know it's very fast, but it's very brief for us to get started with Power Automate. Do you have any question?
I just have one question. Is it possible to connect to like a work, I don't know, database or something like that?
Absolutely. That it's what's it called now? This is Power Platform. Yeah, it's for you to see. Sorry, where's this table? Yeah, this table is Dataverse.
Okay.
Right. So Dataverse is basically your work data. That's why Dataverse is like the bedrock of Power Platform. If you go to Power Apps, you are going to see these tables. The same tables we saw when we are doing that, the same thing. So you can use the same data that you use in Power Apps, the same here, the same in everywhere. So if you now want to bring in a external table, absolutely you can. That's where you now do connections. You understand?
Yeah.
So you can do what. In fact, the best tool, Power BI included, the best tool in Power Platform is Power Automate. I take that from me. When you get into Power Automate, you're going to love it because it does amazing things. Absolutely amazing things. So you can see, if you can talk about Power Apps, so Power Apps is the most popular, but it's not the best. If you start getting into it, you enjoy Power Automate more.
Okay.
Okay, so Dami, do you have any question?
I don't have any question.
Okay, so let's try to do something. I want to see how we can automate this process. I'm doing this because I know we are going to need it when we start working on apps. So now this is an employer, right? An employee, and then these employees have their birthdays here. So imagine you are working in HR and you want to send out birthday messages, right? And then you have large number of people. You can't possibly do just that by yourself every day. So that's where automation, there are so many things to automate, and this is one of the examples. So that's where automation comes in. So how do you automate such processes? And it's simple. First of all, you should have a database. This is our tiny database, right? And in this database, we already have what we want. What do we want? It's just two things that we want. We want date of birth and email. Every other thing is extra, I can assure you. Because with this email, you can start the person's name. With this date of birth, you can run it the day you want to run it. Then every other thing is extra. Because what you need to wish them happy birthday, you can actually just create a single text, oh, happy birthday. But then there are so many ways to get very creative. You can actually, what I meant rather, when I started working is they have loaded pictures, right? And at random, those are like designed birthday pictures. So they loaded it into a folder, and at random, this flow picks one picture and attach the person name at the mail. So wishing you happy birthday, and that's it, right? So when I came in, I decided to, that's when I decided to try to make the thing a little bit more creative, and I added a prompt. So the prompt is basically going to look at your name and then create a short. I gave a prompt to the Copilot thing I was using, and you can call Copilot from Power Automate as well. So you can give it and say, oh, you need to what's it called? Generate a birthday message within maybe 3 lines, so that it's not too much. You restrict it to a certain level, and that's it. And you can ask it to be maybe to sound more business-like, right? Or you can ask it to sound more maybe hyped, or more social, depending on the tone you want, that kind of a thing. So while we did that, now instead of just the pictures, people started getting personal messages, because part of the prompt was asking it to generate a unique message. So now people started getting a personal message that had a human feel to it, not knowing that it was AI, right? So a lot of those things, that's why I say Power Automate can do a lot of things. A lot of those things can actually happen here. So all you need is just these two things. I know this database is not perfect. I've not still had time to, add all the whole employee within my company, but let's just work with this email. So these emails are not really email, but when we're automating, we can actually use the email of people here, and we can, change things and see how it works. So it's simple. Today, let's start. So to show you, let me just, do like how I would expect you to do. Just go to templates and type birthday. So see, there are so many of them that has birthday messages. Now, these are not specifically saying, oh, birthday, but then you can use some of these things for birthday. So what do we have? We'll have schedule a recurring message. A recurring message. I don't think I'm getting what I want. Let me use a Copilot. Getting the word right. Let's use this one and see. So it's also good that I'm doing this so that you understand how compiler works. So the trigger is when an item or file is modified. No, this is not it. So let's actually build it from the scratch. Okay, so first of all, what you ask yourself is, what do you want to be? Where is your database, right? So our database is in SharePoint, and we want to go here and check. For you to be able to check when somebody's birthday is, you need to check every day. So that's the key thing. So what you're thinking of now is how to get a trigger. The trigger is the first one that starts the flow. So that trigger, what should you look out for? The trigger should be running every day and be looking at this column. Any column that matches that particular day that it is running, then it should trigger. That's basically what it does. So that's what we should, that's the first thing that should come on our mind while we're trying to do this. So the first thing that is what, do I use shadowed? Okay, let me use recurring. Let me use recurring. Birthday. Okay. So here you are asking this guy to run once per day. That's all you need. I can decide the time you want it to run. You can say maybe start time should be at these hours. You can just say 1. Or maybe since it's work time, you want you can put it in the morning before the person resumes work. Now, what should you look out for? That's when you now plug in your SharePoint, your database, because that's the next thing you need to be looking at. So in SharePoint, what do we need to look out for? We need to get what is in SharePoint, the record that is in SharePoint, because if you don't get them, you won't be able to look at them. So you are not sending Power Automate to the database, rather you are bringing the database into Power Automate. So here, once you type SharePoint, SharePoint pops. I don't want to type get, because if I type get, you will not see all the other options that you have. So if you click on SharePoint, you see all the other options that you have. So within this, you have an option to get items. Now, this is where it gets very confusing. There is one for get item, and there's one for get items. So when you talk about item, you're talking about one. Look at it. If you want to only get one only. So in this scenario, do we need to get one? Yes, but sometimes it might be two. Two people might share the same birthday, right? So it's not going to work. So in order for you to be able to do what you think should be right, you need to do get item, because you want to pull out the record and then use a filter to filter the ones that matches that day. But then if you still do get item, you can actually achieve what you want to achieve. But then in some cases where two people share the same birthday, it's going to bring just one, the first one that it matches. And that's where the problem is. So there's a lot of things that you can do here, but you know, with time, you'll get used to some of those guys. Guys, are you guys following now? Just let me know so that I know. Okay.
Just a quick. So is this the trigger, or is this?
Oh, the trigger is the first one. This is the trigger. That's why I said I need to set up the trigger. The trigger is reoccurrence, and this recurrence trigger is just going to run every day, because we are looking for birthday and we don't know when the birthday is going to pop up. So the best way is to make it to run every day, so that once it runs every day, if the person's birthday matches that day, then it proceeds. So if it runs the entire day but didn't meet the filter condition, it's not going to do anything now, right?
Okay.
So it's safe. So that's basically the idea.
Okay.
Now, where did I stop? Where did I stop? Where did I stop? Create items. Sorry, not create item, get items. So this is get item. So this get item will pull the entire SharePoint list. So here it will ask you key things. What is it going to ask you? What is your SharePoint address? So you give it some time because it can automatically detect that you are logged in. So if you are logged in, it will pull out, the SharePoint that is logged in for you. Within that SharePoint that is logged in, you can pull out the sites that is, open. So this is the one that we are working with. And within that site, remember when we're setting up this site and SharePoint, we have a list that we created which hosts our data. You will see the name of that list now, HR onboarding. So you can click it. So sometimes these things will not be here. Sometimes it will not be here. You have to manually get the ID from the SharePoint and add them here and it will still pop up. So I think now, what's it called? Microsoft is a little bit, better now. Back in the day, sometimes you open this and you won't just get what you want. So you have to manually, get this link in a specific way that it will consume it, and then you add it. That's how it works. So now you have all these things. How do you now proceed? You need to filter. So because if you say get items, I can run this. I can save this. Okay, let me save this flow and run so that you guys understand what I'm saying. Because even though I schedule this flow, I can actually also run it. I can force it to run when it's not supposed to run. So in that way, it's giving me a warning because get items is going to pull everything, but it's giving you a warning so that you know that it might be too much data there. But we know that we don't have too much data there. We just have 3 records, 3 items, right? So we're going to ignore the warning, or it will not allow us even. Let me see if it allows us to test. Yeah, I think once you save a flow, it kind of runs to give you an option to do this. So let's see what we have. Can you see our list here? You see? It's coming this way because sometimes I can refresh it so that we see the entire output or the same thing. Oh, I hope I've saved that flow. Yes. Okay, see, this is the test that we did. Okay. Oh, why is it always popping out? Why? I don't understand why it's doing that. Because I don't want to see, all the whole JSON. Let's use it then. So this is basically the same data, but that's where I was trying to show you from. It's really, easy to understand and see there. It's the same thing that you're seeing here. How do you confirm it's the same thing? This is, the same thing that will open HR manager, HR personnel. These are things that we entered in that record. So we have our record. We can further, so for you to know what exactly, you can further, interrogate this thing and be sure that you are working with the right thing. So how do we now filter? This is actually the main thing, the main work that you need to do. How do you, since it's bringing in everything, how do you filter out the one you don't need? Right? That's where this filter comes in, because get items will also, do some filter for you. You can actually build a filter outside, but it's unnecessary. You can build, there's a filter function you can build outside and run this whole output within it and do the filter, but it's not necessary. And that is a later thing we can go into. So you have what we call OData filter. You can see something that's written here, an OData filter query. So this OData filter query, it's like a kind of language for filtering data, and it's not like a full developed language, just a very few functions that you can use to call and develop and query data. So you add that filter query here. So in this case, what do we want to do? We want to check where date is equal to day. So what is the name of our date? This is when I told you that if you are adding, a lot of, you're adding a lot of, what's it called? A lot of space here, it might fail sometimes. It's likely to fail because the output, the name of this, what's it called, might be different. DOB is the name. But if you want to see the internal name, you have to open the list well, and then you see the internal name. I think I showed it one time. I don't want us to go that far. So let's take DOB. And then we'll go over to where we were, and you say filter query where DOB is our data. So DOB is a column where the date is stored, and you write is equal to. So today, for us to get today, we can actually say UTC now, but it will not be in that format that you want it. So how do we build that? You can actually use a variable. So a variable, as we know, is just something that holds data that can change. So we can create a variable to hold today's date. So you set variable. So there are so many ways to do. Oh, sorry, this is to initialize. So here I can create and call it today, and put it in a string. And here you now add in today's value. So we are going to say no. So what this will give you is, today in UTC. So this is still not good because we want to format it to, what we are using. Because if you run this thing and use this variable, which is, let's call it today, it's not going to work. And the reason it's not going to work is because of the format. I'm getting it shouldn't work. So let's say we use DOB. Equal. So you see the red ticker here has gone, right? So let's see. That red ticker is because he wants you to do a filter of database. He doesn't want you to pull everything. But now we added a filter. The red ticker has gone. Okay, it actually ran successfully. So let's see. You see that the value is empty. Before it went out, the value was empty. That means we don't have a data that is equal to today. The last one that we opened, which is this one, we actually brought all data because it was open. There was no filter. But this one, there was filter of data that matches today, and then there's none. You understand? So what we need to do next is to now, let's on a regular day, this thing ran, and there was nobody that's supposed to have bed. That is where it's going to end. There's no point because any other step down this flow will have no data to work with. That's basically what it means. So this can run multiple times, and whenever it catches the data, it will now start processing the rest of the flow. So we can actually come here and say, let's edit some of these things to today. So today's date is 6.
Yeah.
You have a question?
No, I don't think we have the data. I think you already answered because I was going to ask how does the automate personalize the message it sends?
I'll come to that. Just give me a minute. I'm trying to, let me use this one that is within 2025.
Okay.
So what's your question? Sorry.
Yeah, I was just curious to know how it curates the messages it sends to whoever is on the contact list.
That one was something I told you can get creative with Power Automate, right? Just as you can get creative with Canvas. That was something I did on my own. If you want us to try it here, we'll try it here. But that would be another step because it needs copilots. Copilot is you. Okay, let me show you. No need to talk too much. Let me just show you what I mean. Like you understand what I mean. So if you, this is a new step. Okay, let's assume this flow runs and we'll have a date that's equal to the. Let me run it again. I'm going to answer your question. Just give me a minute.
Okay.
Today we're expecting it to have something now. I hope it does. Yeah, successfully. Oh, it's not. And that's because we didn't format properly. I know that this guy will come up again. So I will come to that, but I will reformat it, but let me just show you what I mean. So let's say we actually have data coming back. So we need prompts. So you can actually connect to OpenAI here, right? You can actually connect to Gemini, Google Gemini, and do whatever, generate pictures, whatever you want to do with Gemini. I was trying to work with Gemini, and Gemini is free for you to see. Google Gemini, you can do a lot of things with Google Gemini free. You just need to set up your, Google Gemini account, and they will give you the token. And when you're setting it up, it will ask you for that token. But what we are looking for is different. I'm looking for the inbuilt AI thing here. I'm forgetting the name, the search name. But I'll find it. Just me sometimes. Okay. I try Copilot. This is one of the problems I'm usually having with these. Is that they have lots of actions. So if you really don't remember the name, it might be difficult for you to get to it. Okay, let me see if I've used this. So when it's that difficult for you can switch it and look at the whole logo, and you might find what you're looking for. Let's check premium. So under premium, oh, I have lots of them. You see Power Query Data Flow, you can actually connect it to this. I saw that, look at it. So when you want to do anything with, data manipulation, you can use it. Even WordPress, you want to post directly to WordPress. So this is huge. This is a very big tool. Anything you can think of, actually, document you can. Built in, I think I've checked it. Custom, nothing. You have to be custom is here, you have to build it yourself. Wow. Data operation number, shadow requests. If I remember that, I think you just remind me, maybe in our next class, I'll find it. I don't want to, start opening my work. I don't want to open my work laptop to look for it. Sometimes you just have to forget. But basically, if you find that, what's it called, the action that you want here, within that action, you can call whatever prompt you've set up in Copilot somewhere. So with Copilot, just like ChatGPT, you can create a prompt and say, oh, create a birthday message with so instruction. So that prompt you created, you can call it out from, Power Automate. And it generates just as if you are inside Copilot. That's basically what I'm talking about. So it's not like the Power Automate is going to know what to do, but this one, you're going to, tell you what to do, basically. That's how it happens. If you give it the instruction, it follows it. So if we're able to set, maybe with this flow, we can actually do that when we get done. I need to set up the Copilot and be able to do that. So, but once we're able to set that up, I think it's something that we'll be able to do. And then we can see how we can personalize messages. We can even add pictures if we want. So let's stop. Let me do this formatting. Oh, good. I remember something now. So within this Power Automate, this is what I was trying to remember that time. Power Automate expression, that's what we call all of this language. And it's let me remove this and show you something. And it's very important. This is something that you need to know for you to use this tool very well. So if I remove this, there's a series of them. You see, I just typed A and all of the functions with A came out. And all of these functions have their own use case. is. Just as I'm trying to use UTC now. UTC now is just to bring the current dates now, your date and time now. That's what UTC now does. So I've typed A. So this IntelliSense will bring out everything that has to do with A. And this are mostly with add hours. This is like time manipulation functions. So you can add, if I type B, it brings everything B. And you have some other functions for, B, that's under B. So this runs all the way to the end of the alphabet. You have so many tools that you can use. These are the calculators I use while I was trying to, handle error in the flow I built that I showed you guys. This is it. Concat is the same concat that we use in Power Apps. Basically, the same thing here, right? Contains, you can use contains to look for a specific string within a text. That's basically what that contains does. Let's say D. And lots of other manipulation, day of the week, days, div, and the rest of them. So this thing is, what you need to get used to. It's not like, just as we have in DAS, you can't just know them if you're not using them. You have to start practicing. Once you are building, the thing you are building will require you to use something. So if you want to, that's just as we see content, you saw contents, ends with. If you want to look for maybe to filter out where records or tests ends with ed or es, or anything, that function you use. Equals to, we will use equals to when we are doing conditionals. So when you say you're doing conditional, there's an action for conditional where you can say, oh, if this thing equals this side, right? Then go, if it's yes, there's an arm for the flow to continue running. If it is no, there's an arm for the flow to continue running. This is for you to make a decision. This decision making, that's why it's very, very important. You use it in the filter, and we are seeing, once we continue working, we'll see a lot of that. So what we're trying to do now is something else. Let me show you that. So if you want to, do your format by example, you can use this guy. So what do you want to format? In this case, we want to format the date and time. So let me put the UTC number. So this what will make it easy for you when you're working. So this is a format, right? But there's no dynamic value. So it's not pulling out any value. But let me put it somewhere else so that we can see. So I can get the dynamic value basically. Because dynamic value will only come from get items. And dynamic values are dynamic values that are not coming from you. Static values are the ones you declare yourself and make it permanent. But you can store static value in a compose like this. These things used to store values. You can also store values within this variable. So variables usually are used for you to store if you want to, call it anytime you want to use it, use it. Compose usually if you want to use it immediately. That's the major difference. So these are the dynamic values now. Now within this dynamic value, we want to do something, and then you say format data by example. And then what we're looking at today, and we click today. So it will ask you what kind of output do you want to. So how do we want our output to look like? It's basically how the date is looking like, 6/125. All right. I'm showing this thing because it's just a trick that you can use to make work easier for you. I'll show you how to actually format it as well. So you can say 6. Oh, we need to call out how it's currently looking like. So let's bring down one. Just give me a minute. Let me bring down one. See how it's looking like. This is why it is not working, because it's coming in this format. So we need to reformat it. So you first of all plug this first format that is coming in, and you want it to come in 6 0. So you see the first option there, and get what you want. So see, it has not made the work easier for us. It's asking us to use this. So if you use this expression, you are going to get your desired output. This is the easiest. If you're working and you want to be fast with what you're working, and especially you're dealing with data manipulation, this doesn't work elsewhere. It's just majorly for formatting and data and all of that. So when you copy this, and then you go back here, no one said this is just this blank thing on. No, you can just close it, go here, and add the suggestion. and said, okay, right. Let me just put the output of these get items and test. How is the fellow? Let me just do the whole thing. Let me just do the whole thing. Just give me a minute because I don't want us to waste time. I say format date time. So now format date time, we have to, what are we using? We're using UTC now. So we need to call UTC now, sorry. Time can now give it the format that we want. So what format do we want it to be? So it will ask you, the format that you want, and there are so many formats for dates. So what kind of dates format do you want? First of all, the thing we need to put is this, and then you write, and we need date first, right? So put date first, and yeah. Yeah, so let's test that. Okay. See? I was not able to see anything. Oh, because I used to. That place it was one. Why is SharePoint dates still backwards? Power Automate is seeing it as we have gotten into the new day. Sometimes wrong. Is it getting data here? Yes, getting data here. Okay, no. So let me reformat the dates. Maybe 11. Why is UTC now giving us 11 as dates? That is wrong. Let me see. Now, to try something else, to view the data you're working with, you can do compose. And within that compose, you can just take this that we have worked with and put it in compose for it to see. And here, I'm doing it. Yeah. Okay, let's just make this UTC now. Why UTC now is very important because that's the only thing that gives you the current time and date. So if you want the current time, good. Well, what we want is current date, right? So we want to extract just the date from the time. So instead of just mentioning UTC now here, we can now get the dynamic data. And you get the data by coming to the dynamic contents. You're going to find this variable that you initialize, which contains this guy, and click on it. Yeah. Okay. So let's see, I'm doing this so that I can visualize what is happening and find out where the error is coming from. That's what you use Compose mostly for, to see how your data is moving and what is showing your data. So this is what we are getting from UTC now. I don't know why it turned to 11 the other side. Why is this format date weird? It's turning the data upside down. Okay, let me change something on it. Is it coming from my time? Is correct? Okay, let me test again. All right, we'll have what we're looking for now. I don't know why it was messing up then. It's the same thing. So we're not going to, instead of saying today, we're going to use Compose 2 because Compose 2 is today's date. So remove today and put Compose 2. Now remember, if you make this mistake, we're going to have problems. See, I added two opening and closing, is it apostrophe? So let's test again. O206 2025, and there's no date matching this. Oh, this is 0602. That's just today. So this one is doing month first. Okay. That's the mismatch there. This guy is doing month first. So let's match what we have from SharePoint, or else we are never going to get it right. Month first, day second. Okay. I'm hoping to find something on it now. Perfect. Can you guys see? Are you guys with me?
Yeah.
Yeah, so he was able to pull the record that is on today's date, which is test.gmail. Now, let's assume this email. Let me use my email for this so that we can get some responses. I have my email open. Or can I use any one of your email? Is that okay?
Okay, can you use
Okay.
Let me test somebody.
ahead.
Huh?
Sure, one second. Let me type. One second.
What are you saying?
I said, yeah, sure. Let me type my email address there.
Okay, you can put it in the chat. I just want to, for the class to carry everybody around. I can easily use my own. It will make us fast, but then it's okay that you actually see how it's functioning from your end.
It's in the chat.
Okay. Okay. So now we've updated this database. Let's go back. And assuming this person email is somebody that the birthday matches and we are running it, and then we want to send them the birthday email. So we can actually go here and add another action for send an email. So it's signing in with my, see the connection I told you about, signing with my email as, the account signing in, that's signing into this guy, Power Automate. So if you go back end, you see that connection. And these things are very, very important for us to know, because when we talked about moving solutions from environment to environment, if you remember that, in cases where you are moving solution from environment, imagine after we created this, I want to move it to somebody else, like maybe you want to move to Coco or Dami, you are definitely going to have a different environment. Now, if I'm moving to you, it will have edits in Ibekwe as the connection. And that's the problem most times, that if you have to be very careful. That's what we call connection references. And when you're making those, what's it called? Application lifecycle management. These are the things that usually will come across, how to manage all these kind of variables and application. There's something that you declare here that is not available in that means environment. Some of those variables and things that can change connection references, you take them out. So if I'm moving the solution out, I'll make sure that you can sign into it at least, and so that once you open it, you're able to sign. If you don't have permission to sign into any action, you will never use that solution. So if I move this solution, since it's Outlook, you can easily sign it because it's Outlook. Because there are some other solutions that you might not have access to, and it becomes a problem. So those are like very, very important for us to understand. So here we can say happy birthday. And then here we can say happy birthday. I'll show you how good this thing can become. So when I say happy birthday, remember, it's giving me dynamic value. Dynamic value are value coming from our database. So within that dynamic value, I can find your name. You see? So that is where you will see a lot of names, job title, things that you can plug in. So I know the name here is, this one's for HR personnel. I'll look for employee. Yeah, employee display name. Now, why it's doing this is that it's now going to several people. Immediately it sees this, okay, it's trying to do apply to each, because it might be several people or several names. So that's why it's applied to each is immediately popping up. We can take it out if we don't need, but sometimes it pops up and it's an extra added step. And we can, in order to manage to have an efficient flow, we can decide to remove it or decide not to use it. But automatically it usually pops up. Now, what email should we use? Good. So on the email, you can decide to use the dynamic content again. When you click on dynamic content, it brings out our what's it called? Our database again. So we'll have to select the employee email. I don't know why it's giving me 2 employee email. Let me check properly to see why that is the case. Because I know we have 1 employee email. I know when we're setting this up, we did a lot of deleting and all of that. This might be the issue. But let's just select one and roll with it and send. Okay. And let's test. This employee email is supposed to pull the email from Coco and send that email message to them. Okay, so just check in a few minutes to see if it was sent to you. This is your email, right? Are you there, Coco? Hello?
Sorry, I was muted. I didn't know. Yes, I've received it.
Okay, so it's happy birthday what?
Yes, happy birthday space together, Edison Ibekwe. It's your email address as well.
Yeah, so that display name is because I had to use this guy. Let me show you. Because I have to use this guy. It's just coming from this guy's
Oh,
display.
okay.
That's the dynamic content I've added that you saw. You understand?
Okay.
So if you are working in the company, we are not even going to use this column because this guy has all of. Remember, I was talking about last time we were talking about what's it called? A person column. It has all of that polymorphic features, right? So all the display name, email, anything you need is attached to it. So in this case, our automation is done because if this thing runs tomorrow and there's nobody that has the date that matches this, it's not going to send any message. Yeah, because you need data to run across. So if this guy is empty, this guy is not going to do anything. Basically, where is he going to get email to send to? Now, what I want us to do next time is to add the prompt to it. If you guys, can be able to replicate this thing in your own little way, I will appreciate that before the class. And just on my own side, I will try to verify the details of the developer account so that you'll be able to set it up and run it your own self. So this is just like, a skeletal feature of how we can run this. We have a full database, we can add more features, right? You can add pictures, you can pick the pictures at random, you can call them by their middle name, first name, last name. You know, so you can call them by their nickname even if you have that stored in your database. So what I would want us to add to this, at least to give us a full scope of what what our discussion has been today, is the whole prompting thing, and I think we'll need to do that next. So guys, that will be the end of today. If you have any questions, let me know. Let me, you have any question?
Yeah, none from my side.
Do you understand what we did today?
Yeah, I did.
Okay, so perfect. And Coco, any question from you?
Not on this topic or today's subject now.
Okay, go ahead.
Oh, me. Okay, my question actually is on Power BI, okay? And it's more of Power BI service. So I just wanted to find out if, so you know how there's the app in Power BI Workspace, right? Power BI Service Workspace. And let's say I merged 2 reports and sent out to stakeholders, right? And, I'm doing a report again and I've updated it. Is there a way to save that like combined reports in the app? And if there isn't, what other alternative can I use to merge reports and maybe archive it?
Have you tried pagination?
Sorry, what?
Yes, a way to do a report pagination where you have reports running a long page, not like just one single report, but you call it pagination.
You can check it on YouTube, paginated report.
Yes.
Paginated Power BI report.
That might work for you. And if it doesn't work for you, it's something question you can throw out in the group, and people who must have had and dealt with that issue might also throw in help for you.
Okay, pagination.
So Coco,
okay,
you've published a report, right?
Yes, but it was published individually, right?
Individually.
Yes.
So
and
you want to put it in an app, Abi, in Power BI app.
Yes. It's already done.
Works.
It's already done, but my question is, or my manager's question to me was, is there a way to archive it? Because these reports are done like monthly and mid-month. Right?
Just want like a snapshot.
Yeah, yes, they want.
So why don't it's even easy? There's a way to add it, pull it in PDF. You can actually send that to the report in PDF,
Yes, but if it's in PDF, wait, hold on, let me think about it. But it's not interactive, and in PDF, it will, if I'm not mistaken, like it's whatever. How do I say it? So we have a lot of filters. It's not interactive. I think that's the problem, because if you put it on a particular filter and that is what the person will be saying, but
what you're asking. Sorry, what you're asking for now. While I think Microsoft will be against is that it will be against their business. You want to take their system outside of their platform. So you want the reports saved outside of their platform. They will be against it in a way, because that's like if you want it to be interactive, that's more like building Power BI outside of Power BI. You understand my point?
Yeah, I get you. But
there's a way you can go around it if you try using that pagination. But since if you want it to be static, PDF is the best way, actually.
Okay, but hold on, another question. I was thinking maybe this Power App could be the solution to my problem, because I think the inbuilt app in the workspace is a genius idea, right? But why is this? I don't still truly understand the use of app, because I was initially thinking at the start of this class that the Power App could be something I could do to be able to have those reports in one place, if you get what I mean.
So there's a way you can embed Power BI in Power App, right?
Okay.
I don't think that fully solves your problem. And the app in Power BI is not the same thing as Power App. That is just for you to see your dashboard in a snap view in your hand. Basically, that's basically why. It does not do the same thing as Power App. But then Power App has a feature where you can do the connection, to be able to display any reports within Power App. So you can actually embed multiple reports and have people view it if you want. Well, I'm not sure if you delete it or remove it from the Power BI service, whether you will still be able to see it, because it's leveraging the Power BI service to display it on Power App.
I see. So
what I want to advise you to do is look up the pagination. If that does not work for you, try to stay in the class. Maybe the more you understand some of these tools, the better understanding you have of how to solve your solution.
My problem. Okay. And one last question. Do you think that the what they call it, the tile, is it tile, or there's something they do building tile or dashboard, or I've forgotten what they call it in BI service. Could that be a solution as well?
So tile is just to create a dashboard. You create reports, you put them in tiles for you to add them in a dashboard. That's just what that does.
Okay.
What I'm understanding from your question, what you want to achieve is to be able to, you want to be able to have past reports, have access to them, right?
Yeah.
That's something that you do. The way I will suggest you do that is for you to create new dashboard. So you have the dashboard you are using, but you want a different dashboard where people can have access to the old records. Just duplicate the dashboard and change the filters. That would be easy, but then it still will show you whatever the person wants to filter to. So if you want to change the filter, since your data set is there, you want to change your filter to a certain day and time and with other features, you can do that. But that will be just that view. But if you want multiple, let's say you want to show multiple views, that means you have to create multiple dashboards, and that does not solve the problem at all, because that will be too much.
Okay. Sounds good. Yeah, I just wanted to hear from other people. Okay, thank you.
All right. Good night.
All right, good night. Take care. Thanks, everyone.
Yeah, you too.